Have you walked into your garden, looked at your tomato plants, and seen twisted leaves, curled growth, or strange deformed stems, and immediately assumed it was heat stress? That assumption could cost you your entire harvest. Because while some types of leaf curling are completely harmless and easy to fix, there are two specific causes that require immediate action. If you ignore them, you may lose not just one plant, but every tomato in your garden. Today we're covering those two serious culprits. The first is herbicide drift. The second is viral infection. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to identify both, what causes them, and most importantly, what you need to do next. Let's start with the one that's usually not your fault at all: herbicide drift. If herbicide damage is the cause of your tomato leaf curling, the symptoms are surprisingly distinctive once you know what to look for. Most gardeners make the mistake of focusing only on curled leaves. But herbicide damage affects the entire structure of the plant. Start by examining the leaves closely. Normal stress curling creates leaves that roll into neat tubes or cups. Herbicide damage does something completely different. The leaves twist violently. They fold sideways. They become distorted and misshapen. Sometimes they look so strange they barely resemble tomato leaves at all. One of the most recognizable symptoms is called shoestringing. The flat green portion of the leaf shrinks dramatically, while the veins remain elongated. The result is a thin, thread-like leaf that looks more like a string than a normal tomato leaflet. Now move your attention to the stems. Healthy tomato stems grow relatively straight. Herbicide-damaged stems often grow in a corkscrew pattern. They may bend downward. They may twist around themselves. In severe cases, they can even split open along their length. Finally, inspect the growing tip. This is where some of the most dramatic symptoms appear. Instead of producing vigorous new growth, the tip becomes tightly packed and stunted. The foliage often appears pale. The veins become more visible, and the plant seems unable to grow normally. So what causes all of this? The damage comes from a group of chemicals known as synthetic auxin herbicides. Some of the most common examples are 2,4-D, Dicamba, and Aminopyralid. These products are widely used to control broadleaf weeds in farm fields, pastures, lawns, and landscaped areas. The problem is that tomatoes are extremely sensitive to them, far more sensitive than the grasses these products are designed to protect. And here's the part that surprises most gardeners. Your tomato plant doesn't need to be sprayed directly. A neighbor treating their lawn on a windy day can create problems. Commercial spraying operations can create problems. Under the right conditions, tiny droplets can travel surprisingly long distances before settling onto sensitive plants. Once those chemicals land on the leaves, they behave like artificial growth hormones. They force cells to grow rapidly and unevenly. Instead of normal development, the plant begins twisting and distorting as different tissues grow at different rates. But sometimes the contamination doesn't arrive through the air. Sometimes it comes directly into your garden. Aminopyralid is especially notorious because it can survive the digestive systems of grazing animals. Hay treated with this herbicide can be eaten by horses or cattle. The manure from those animals can then be composted and sold. When gardeners use that compost or manure, they unknowingly introduce herbicide contamination directly into their soil. Many gardeners never suspect the source, because the damage doesn't appear until weeks after planting. A question I hear all the time is this: did I cause this? If the damage came from airborne drift, probably not. That's usually bad luck combined with unfortunate timing. But if the source is contaminated manure, compost, or straw mulch, it's worth investigating where those materials came from, so the same problem doesn't return next season. Now let's talk about what to do. The first step is determining how severe the exposure actually is. Mild exposure typically affects only the newest growth. The upper leaves may show slight twisting, while the older leaves lower on the plant still look healthy and normal. When that's the case, immediately rinse the entire plant with clean water. This helps remove any remaining residue from the leaf surface. After that, continue normal watering and care. In many cases, the plant can recover over the next 2 to 3 weeks, as healthy growth gradually replaces damaged tissue. Yields may be reduced temporarily, but the plant often survives. Severe exposure is very different. The distortion affects the entire plant. The stems may split. The new growth may be severely stunted and pale. When symptoms reach that level, contamination is often present in the soil itself. Unfortunately, there is no practical way to reverse that damage. The best course of action is removal. Pull up the entire plant. Remove as much of the root system as possible. Excavate the surrounding root zone soil, then dispose of everything in household trash. And there is one mistake you absolutely must avoid. Never place herbicide-contaminated plants into your compost pile. These chemicals can survive the composting process. Instead of eliminating the contamination, you'll create contaminated compost that can spread the problem throughout your garden next season. One final question before we move on. What if you've already harvested tomatoes from the plant? Fruit that matured before symptoms appeared is generally considered safe to eat. The contamination affects plant growth rather than fruit that has already developed. However, avoid consuming fruit that develops after symptoms appear, and never save seeds from an affected plant. Now let's move to the second major cause of kerning that requires immediate action: viral infection. Unlike environmental stress, viral diseases don't simply go away with better watering or fertilizer adjustments. Once a virus establishes itself inside a plant, the situation changes completely. There are two major tomato viruses every gardener should recognize. The first is tomato yellow leaf curl virus. This disease is transmitted by a single insect, the silverleaf whitefly. One tiny insect can start a chain reaction that spreads throughout a garden. The symptoms are distinctive. New leaves curl upward into a cup shape. The edges of those leaves develop a bright yellow coloration. The center of the leaf often remains pale green. The entire plant becomes severely stunted. Growth slows dramatically. And perhaps the most devastating symptom is blossom drop. Flowers fall off before producing fruit, effectively ending production for the season. The second major virus is tomato mosaic virus. Unlike the previous disease, this one spreads easily through physical contact. Your hands can spread it. Pruning tools can spread it. Even infected seed can introduce it. Its appearance is also quite different. Leaves often curl downward. The foliage develops an irregular mosaic pattern, made up of dark green, light green, and yellow patches. The surface becomes crinkled. The texture becomes blistered. The plant loses its normal appearance and vigor. Infected fruit may also develop internal problems. When cut open, the flesh can become brown and woody, reducing quality significantly. At this point, I need to address one of the biggest misconceptions in home gardening. There is no cure. No spray. No homemade remedy. No organic treatment. No miracle solution. Once a tomato plant is systemically infected with a virus, the virus remains inside that plant for life. Neem oil cannot cure it. Compost tea cannot cure it. Nothing can remove it from the plant's vascular system. The goal now is containment. So here's exactly what to do. Remove the infected plant immediately. Dig up the entire plant, including the roots. Place it directly into a sealed garbage bag. Dispose of it in household trash, or burn it if local regulations permit. Just like herbicide contamination, never compost infected plants. The next step is controlling the vector. If you're dealing with tomato yellow leaf curl virus, focus on whiteflies. Treat remaining healthy plants with insecticidal soap or neem oil to reduce whitefly populations. The fewer whiteflies present, the lower the risk of additional infections. Finally, sanitize every tool that came into contact with the infected plant. This step is especially important for tomato mosaic virus. Pruning shears, trowels, plant stakes, gloves, anything that touched the infected plant should be disinfected before being used elsewhere. A 10% bleach solution works. 70% isopropyl alcohol also works. Failure to sanitize tools is one of the fastest ways to spread disease through an entire tomato planting.